Hi, this is Natalie Lander, voice of Kinsey, Tara Branford, Stargirl, and many others. You are listening to a W2Mnet podcast. You can visit W2Mnet.com for other podcasts about entertainment, video games, sports, and wrestling.
Good evening, afternoon, whenever you happen to be listening, and welcome to the kickoff, a presentation of the W2M Network online at W2Mnet.com. In addition, tonight's episode of the kickoff is brought to you by Grammarly, an intelligent writing app. Download Grammarly's browser extension and create a free Grammarly account at getgrammarly.com/W2M Network. How was that, Eric?
Impressive.
Thank you. I'm learning. The voice you just... Oh, I should probably introduce myself first. Hi, I'm the voice of reason. I'm also your host. My name is Harry Broadhurst. Joining me, as per usual, the down since day one co-host, the Anchorman, the voice you just heard. He is Erik Watkins.
Is there a reason why I've been compelled to watch a lot more lift and carry videos online lately? Or is that just random? Can you help me answer that? I'm trying to figure that out.
I'm not touching that one. You know who might, though? He's the unprofessional. He's Jason Teasley.
Coming to you live from Huntington, West Virginia, where the Kentucky Buckets just upset the West Virginia Hoot Owls.
Suck it, Hoot Owls!
And the newest member of the team, she is Keneddi Mother.
Hi guys, thanks for having me on today.
Wait a minute! Never mind.
Eric, what's your answer? Alright, so this right here is going to be your year-end award and wrap-up show. We kind of already did our requiem for a season last week where we discussed our favorite team's performances and stuff. And some people are turning into Cowboys fans and insist on living in the past. Jason.
Hey, what are you talking about? The Bills? It's up. Cowboys have been doing, but it's actually relevant.
I heard like half of that.
He said the Bills are actually doing something that the Cowboys haven't done in a very long time, and they are indeed actually relevant again. So he does have a bit of a point.
This is true. It is nice being relevant. Isn't that right, Kennedy?
Sure is after 25 years.
Well, okay, so technically 22 because we did back a couple of seasons ago, but we didn't win a game until this season. But it's a whole thing. All right, so what we're going to do on tonight's season, we'll wrap-up edition of the show, is we're going to go over our predictions, as both ridiculous as they may have been, from both our preseason and mid-season efforts, as well as announce our official year-end award winners in all of the categories, well, most of the categories, that the NFL Honors did for their year-end awards the night before the Super Bowl. Eric, I sent some shenanigans afoot with regards to some of these award choices.
You know how it is. Storylines, darlings, big markets, big names, big insurance companies like State Farm. We all should get the drill by now.
Like a good neighbor, Drake Farm is there.
Curse and all!
Okay, seriously, the best part of that commercial was Paul Rudd. I'm just saying.
Well, as someone who is actively rooting for the commercials in that halftime show this year, I'm glad you could find some comfort in that.
Yes, the commercials were, by and large, actually pretty impressive. I think my favorite one was the Cheetos one with Shaggy, Mila Kunis, and Ashton Kutcher.
It was right up there. Although that reminds me, I do need to head up to some of these places around here so I can get my hands on a bag of 3D Doritos again. Now that's taking me back to my childhood.
Jason, you mentioned your favorite commercial. Which one was it again?
Okay, legit, the only words I heard out of that were ass bandit. Take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to your internet connection there. I know you're, like, recording live on the road, but, yeah, that one was really bad, Jason.
I said mine was I think it was Toyota with the swimmer that was adopted and had the birth defect.
The Paralympic one, okay. Keneddi, did you have a favorite Super Bowl commercial?
Not really. I did a lot of running around this year during the Super Bowl between drunk friends and child and whatnot. So
at least it was drunk friends and child instead of drunk child. So you get a pass for that one.
Yeah. I definitely watched the Super Bowl, but the commercials I was in and out trying to do friend and mom things.
That being said, if you're interested in hearing a couple of drunk children, make sure you guys check out the day.
I think even your connection stepped on your line for that one.
Really? Did I buzz out for a second there?
Yes, you did. Right at the good part, too.
To try that again, that's not going to have the same sting. If you also want to hear about drunk children, make sure you guys check out the debut of Black Irish. Segway!
See, you whiffed on it. The second time, no. It wasn't meant to be.
That was a damn good joke, too. I'm a little pissed off about that.
Blame Spectrum?
DOTW. I'm sure Jason will have a doozy for his a little bit later on in the show.
I will.
The fact that you're having to go mobile for tonight's show in order to have something resembling an internet connection.
It's nobody's fault. I mean, hell, there's an inch of ice on trees and 6 inches of snow where I'm at.
It's about what we got on Sunday into Monday as well.
My wife's seen 6 inches since we've been married.
Would this be the part that you fill in Keneddi on the hallway sex joke?
No.
That's something.
Me and my wife have hallway sex. We walk by each other and scream, "Fuck you."
Can't relate on that one.
We're going to have to work on getting that joke out of our system once we go fully sponsored later on in the season.
But will we, though? Will we really, though?
If we want to be able to keep our sponsorships, we will.
Well, then leave it to me to find some different sponsorships just in case.
I mean,
I'll show up Deshaun Spade again. But anyway, moving on.
yes, let's move forward. All right, so let's look back at our preseason award predictions. Actually, how I think I want to do the awards here is, Erik, you can pull up the NFL honors for me?
I'm on it.
All right, so while Erik is pulling up NFL Honors 2020, what I will do is I will read the award for the preseason predictions that we made. I will have Jason give you our midseason changes to that award, and then I'll have Erik give you the official NFL winners for that category, and then we'll discuss who we think should have won that award as well, so that way Keneddi can chime in with her picks as well.
Well, thank you very much.
Let me know when you're ready, Mr. Watkins, and we'll get this started.
Oh, I got it. I'm good to go. You know me. Sometimes I'm quick on the draw when it counts, and other times I got to stretch things out a little bit.
I see 6 awards here that we did in the preseason that will carry over, that all kind of carried over to the NFL awards here. There's one major difference, though. We did not distinguish Rookie of the Year. We did a overall Rookie of the Year. And my overall Rookie of the Year in the preseason was Chase Young. Erik and Jason both selected Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Jason, do you have the midseason update?
Yes. On Rookie of the Year, Harry, you had Joe Burrow. I had Justin Herbert, and Erik had Justin Jefferson.
So So all three of us want offensive. So let's stick specifically with the offensive rookie of the year, because I think we can all kind of agree that Chase Young ran away with defensive rookie of the year this year.
He did.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much cut and dry.
All right, who did the NFL honor as the rookie of the year offensively, Eric?
Both as the offensive rookie of the year and the Pepsi Next rookie of the year. So there were 3 rookie of the year awards. Those 2 went to Justin Herbert.
See, I think Justin Jefferson got screwed. Honestly, I think Eric was correct here because Jefferson stepped up significantly down the stretch for Minnesota. Jefferson put up a good enough there. Nobody saw him put that up after that thing. And Jefferson in Minnesota failing to the point that the trade that the Vikings made with Stephon Diggs and the Buffalo Bills doesn't fall that in hindsight. Given the fact that they got a player of a similar quality.
Okay.
It's definitely even out. The numbers that Jefferson put up, and he didn't even get to start until week 3.
And I mean, let's be realistic. You had for the longest time Justin Jefferson in the top 5 and top 10 as far as receiving yards. And who else on that offense with that core was able to make Kirk Cousins look good?
Jason, do you think they got it right with Justin Herbert, or do you think that you would go with us with Justin Jefferson?
I think they got it right. I've sung Herbert's praises since our pre-draft spectacular, calling him the best quarterback in this draft class.
The one thing that I will give Justin Herbert credit on is the fact that he was kind of forced into playing a lot earlier than was anticipated because of the situation that came up with Tyrod Taylor and the team doctor. Do you think that the situation of Herbert being able to adapt to his circumstances that gave him the advantage in your eyes, Jason?
Yeah, I think he took advantage of the situation, an unfortunate situation that it was. I mean, punctured lung by the team doctor. So I think that he got kind of threw in because he wasn't even ready to start that game. He didn't find out until right before kickoff that he was going to be starting, and Taylor was a scratch because of the punctured lung. But he made the most out of the situation.
Do you remember the situation, Kennedy, with Tyrod Taylor and the team doctor?
Yeah, and I think Justin Herbert stepped up exactly as he needed to. I don't think Tyrod would have done as good as Herbert did, to be honest.
Taylor's always been more of a game manager, Eric. We saw that in Buffalo. We kind of saw it to an extent before Mayfield took over for him in Cleveland. Honestly, I wouldn't have been surprised to see the Los Angeles, I almost called him San Diego again out of habit. I wouldn't have been surprised to see the Los Angeles Chargers as a low-end contender with Tyrod Taylor as their quarterback. That being said, I think Herbert getting the start here does more for the franchise going forward than Taylor starting this year would have anyway.
I completely agree with that one because if you were to look at the 2020 season, that was realistically the plan anyways. Have Justin Herbert learn for a year under Taylor, get his feet wet, adjust to the team, and then coming for the 2021 season, he be the guy while you still have that veteran presence in some form. Granted, that changed, and it was extra beneficial given what the Chargers did as far as their coaching staff and their changes. So you've got more of a lockdown as far as with the team and how they're going towards things for the future. So it makes sense. And it's going to be a very interesting matchups in the division in the years to come.
All right, we move forward to the comeback player of the year, and there was a caveat on our preseason comeback player of the year prediction. The caveat was that we felt if Alex Smith played, he would win comeback player of the year regardless. Didn't matter what performances he had, as long as he played. The fact that he ended up leading Washington to the postseason, we'll talk about that in a few seconds.
He did not lead the season.
Jason's still a little bit bitter about Sunday Night Football in Week 17.
I mean, I would be bitter too in that instance.
Yeah, he has a legitimate gripe, and frankly, Peterson getting fired is the best thing that came out of that situation. Back to my point. Our preseason comeback player of the year, Eric picked Ben Roethlisberger, who actually had a decent season in Pittsburgh until everything collapsed around week 13. And myself and Jason both chose A.J. Green, who unfortunately, once again, could not stay healthy in Cincinnati. Jason, mid-season awards.
Mid-season, we did just what you said. We all went, since he was able to play, we all acknowledged his ability to come back from almost a leg amputation and be able to actually play and start and actually produce in the NFL game this year.
Eric, the 2020 NFL Awards Comeback Player of the Year was?
Alex Smith, obviously.
Frankly, they just need to rename that award the Alex Smith Award and be done with it.
Now, what they could do is where he had that brace that they turned into the Lombardi Trophy, they should donate that and just make that legit the award.
I'm 100% behind renaming that the Alex Smith Comeback Player of the Year Award. Keneddi, what do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, it sucks that the East didn't give him like a whole bunch of competition this year, but the fact that he came back from 17 surgeries and his whole saving fib were messed up, So the fact that he did what he did in the position he was in is absolutely outstanding.
And especially when you consider the fact that the man who was supposed to be the starter this year in Washington, Dwayne Haskins, absolutely self-imploded throughout the course of the season, Jason.
Yes, I mean, he's not even on a team now. He got cut.
He's actually signed a free agent deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Really, I didn't know he signed. So that won't last. He's probably going to be a practice squad quarterback, depending on future reference of what happens in Pittsburgh. But yeah, I mean Haskins wrote himself out of Washington. I mean, the antics on the sidelines, the immaturity that he showed in practice, didn't take on any kind of leadership. So yeah, I mean, he was upsetting the front office, and I mean, others around the league seeing his immaturity. He just was not ready for that next level hype and to be a leader on an NFL team.
Eric, allow me to put this in perspective for you. You ready?
Ready?
Daniel Snyder thinks Dwayne Haskins is a problem.
Okay, so he was not long for Washington whatsoever, then, if that was the case.
Arguably, the biggest POS owner in the NFL is the one that called the curtain closed on Haskins' career in Washington.
Yeah, no. Just consider, no. Mm-mm. I mean, it's going to be interesting what happens in Pittsburgh, but oof, that's not a label you want to have.
I think it was Jason earlier in the season that made the comparison, and it might be spot on. Dwayne Haskins is the new Ryan Leaf.
Yeah, and especially with what's come out with Ryan Leaf leading up to the past few years, you can see it in some ways. You just hope for a different ending.
All right, we move on to Coach of the Year and our preseason predictions for Coach of the Year. Jason, you went with Zach Taylor in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Eric, you took Frank Reich in Indianapolis, who actually had a very good season.
To my dismay.
I picked Sean McDermott of Buffalo because I said in the preseason, and I stood by it, that Buffalo would win 12 games in the AFC East. I ended up wrong by one, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Jason, what was the midseason update?
I had Tomlin, Eric, Stephen McDermott, and Eric took.
All right, I'm catching a little bit of feedback here. Do me a favor, Eric, for a quick pause on the show. Apologies for that, everybody, but this brief break was brought to you by getamazonmusic.com/W2M Network. You can now listen to the W2M Network on any Alexa-enabled device by searching for the W2M Network on your Alexa-enabled device, or by going to getamazonmusic.com, /W2M Network. Thank you, Mr. Watkins. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, Jeff Bezos.
Didn't he just step down though?
Look, yeah. I don't give a crap. CEO, executive chair, he's still the man behind the company, just without having to go ahead and face Congress.
Okay, we don't talk about chairs on this podcast?
I mean, yeah, you have a point.
All right, so it was Tomlin for Jason. It was still McDermott for me. Who did you say Eric's midseason pick was? Mike Florio, right?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. The 2020 NFL Awards Coach of the Year area.
One Kevin Stefanski.
All right, so I don't hate this pick because Kevin Stefanski did lead the Browns on 11-5 in a wild card in 28. Although they were lucky to get in because beating Buffalo put on Miami in week 17. That being said, my 2020 Coach of the Year is still Sean McDermott for leading the Bills to a 13th record to win the AFC for the first time in 26 years.
Absolutely.
I mean, here's the rub with me for that one. If the Browns didn't do what they did and finally ended the infamous and heralded and bandied about playoff streak of not appearing in the postseason for all this time, then yes, I would have easily gone with McDermott for taking the next step, leading Buffalo to ending their own streak of not winning the AFC East. But if you look at everything holistically, the Bills, and we talked about this for Requiem for a Season last week, we talked about the Bills taking this next step, and everything was in some ways set up for them. They did it. But if you look at the Browns, they massively overachieved. Not just by going 11-5, not just by making the playoffs, but even winning a playoff game. Granted, it started out with Ben Roethlisberger being exactly like Keneddi and having things go over his head, but still, the Browns went ahead and capitalized nonetheless. So, while I was saying off air about storylines and things, that was the storyline pick. I don't disagree.
Jason, your thoughts on this here? Do you agree with the Stefanski pick, or do you think they went in the wrong direction?
No, I agree with Stefanski. I mean, as I was here too early on.
Did you pause the show? Okay, so as you guys may be aware of, sometimes with new people and new setups, audio issues happen. We apologize for the technical difficulties. Jason, you were saying that you actually agreed with the Kevin Stefanski pick.
Yes, Stefanski, because I mean, like I said, I was a year early on my hike for the Browns that I continuously catch y'all about, but I really think the Browns has been a solid number 2 this year and have came through and actually set the bar kind of high. But I mean, you can't go wrong with McDermott as well. I mean, I wouldn't have been upset if it would have went either way. But Stefanski, I think, edged him out due to the fact that the Browns were actually relevant.
We're pretty sure that Odell Beckham had a couple pretty solid number 2s, but we're not talking about that right now.
No, he was on the receiving end of a couple solid number twos, Eric.
Fair.
DJ. All right. Keneddi, plain and simple, McDermott got screwed.
Absolutely. McDermott got screwed. I mean, the Browns, I feel like they could be up and coming, but their last playoff victory, I'm pretty sure, was 94. So I'll give it to the Bills. Theirs was 95. But the talent that the Bills have and the progression that you're seeing with Josh Allen, I think is going to take over Mayfield any day. And it has to deal with coaching. And it's not all coaching, obviously, but McDermott did something with a team that hasn't done anything really in the past 25 years. And the Browns just seem stagnant. Like, yeah, they had some good games, but, potential Sean McDermott season that team and what they're going to do, I think is going to top anything the Browns are going to do.
This particular season, the Browns did make bigger steps than Buffalo did because Buffalo was a postseason team last year, though.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I agree. I'm looking more towards the future. I think Baker is going to tap out quicker than Allen. I think their quote-unquote franchise they're going to have with Baker isn't going to go as far. So, Stefanski did a great job, but I just think Sean McDermott knows his leaps and bounds he's going to make with the Bills, and I think he projects that onto his team a lot more than, Stefanski would. The coaching, was good for him, but I just think Sean McDermott is going to go a lot farther, and I think that's overlooked at what he did with Josh Allen and the Bills versus I think Baker's going to plateau, and I don't know. I just think it was a bad choice.
I will say this much, Eric. They did an award on NFL Honors that we did not do here on the show, and that award was for Assistant Coach of the Year. Do you care to announce who won that award, Mr. Watkins?
Well, of course I do, because this is the last time that I can say that I miss not having the leverage of 10-3, because to stack to your deck, the Assistant Coach of the Year is one Brian Daboll.
Offensive Coordinator, Buffalo. The man behind Josh Allen's progress this year.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's move forward and continue on here. We're going to go to Defensive Player of the Year next. Microphone. All right, let's go to our preseason picks for the Defensive Player of the Year. Eric, you took Calais Campbell. I took Khalil Mack. Jason took Darius Leonard out of Indianapolis. Jason, what did the midseason awards look like for this particular category?
I actually went Khalil Mack. You actually switched to AD, Aaron Donald, and Erik had Watts. So we was kind of all over the place. All great players, but I don't think the right person got the award.
We'll talk about that here in a few seconds. Eric, official announcement. The 2020 NFL Honors Defensive Player of the Year.
Aaron Donald, defensive tackle for the Rams.
All right, Jason, you were saying that you don't feel Aaron Donald was the right choice.
No, I think this is he had better numbers. And I feel that is where the trophy belongs. The downfall in Pittsburgh is what cost him the award. When Pittsburgh had that season, I think they looked at it as a team rather than an individual.
Apologies for that there. Eric.
Yes.
Do you agree with the Aaron Donald selection?
I get what Jason was saying about T.J. Watt, but I do agree with the Aaron Donald selection is because while Watt was very effective and very efficient, and he helped in quite a big way continuing the streak that the Steelers had for most games with a sack. When Bud Dupree got hurt, Watt really couldn't take over and be the feared guy in this modern-day Steel Curtain. Whereas with Aaron Donald, even when he had games when he was injured late down the stretch and even in the playoffs, you still had to plan for him as an offensive coordinator, still trying to go ahead and find ways to double team, arrange some sort of a stunt block, what have you, because he would find his way through. And for him doing that continuously on his own, I think they got this one right.
Damn it, I need to remember to hit the unmute button on my phone before I start trying to speak. Let's try that again. Keneddi, one of the things that we noticed in the Green Bay Rams postseason game is how easily the Packers were able to move up and down the field once Donald got hurt. Do you think a healthy Aaron Donald makes as significant of a difference as it appeared he might have made in that game?
Oh, absolutely. Aaron Donald was the third person ever to win Defensive Player of the Year 3 times. It's just he is an absolute unit, and that's the best. That's the best thing I can say about him. But I still think TJ Watt got screwed.
So you're actually with Jason on this one. I think they got it right. I think Aaron Donald was the correct pick here.
What was that? I'm sorry, I cut out.
I said, I think they got it right. I think Aaron Donald was the correct pick here, but you're in agreement with Jason that it should have been TJ Watt from Pittsburgh.
I mean, he had it on sacks, he had it on tackles, he had it on pass deflections. I think TJ Watt got screwed because of his team. Aaron Donald does things that other players can't do, and you always need, he always need to be double teamed. I get that. I get the player he can be, but just by number 6, TJ Watt got screwed.
All right, so let's move on to our offensive player of the year here. And, well, preseason, this one doesn't look pretty, Erik.
It usually never does.
This one especially doesn't look pretty offensively. You ready?
Fire away.
Your pick for offensive player of the year just got traded.
Of course.
Carson Wentz.
And of course, not only is he making my life miserable tonight on the show, he will continue to make my life miserable. Oh, God. I'm gonna need booze and stuff.
We're gonna talk about that in the Newsdesk once we're done with the awards. Jason, your pick spent most of the year injured once again in Christian McCaffrey. And my pick decided to punch a teammate in Michael Thomas. Hopefully we did a little bit better at the midseason poll. Jason?
Yeah. This is the reason why I'm called the unprofessional. Because I don't have that with me right now.
I actually do remember my pick for the Offensive Player of the Year at the midseason awards. I'm almost certain I said Josh Allen.
Of course you do, you fucking homer.
Go big or go homer around these parts, Jason. You know what it is. Erik, do you remember who you took?
I am going to be completely honest. No, I do not.
All right, well, what I will do is I will go back and check out that episode, and I will have that information for you on the next episode of the kickoff that we do. Erik, the 2020 NFL Honors Offensive Player of the Year was?
Someone else who made my life miserable. The king himself, Derrick Henry, running back of the Titans.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, he sent Josh Norman to a different dimension earlier this season as well. So
Immediately Josh Norman out of it.
Look, I'm sorry. No. That happened to one of your players one time. How many times do you think I still catch shit and see a highlight of on a loop of a 99-yard touchdown run, or how many Jaguars that he sent to the Shadow Realm. You have not begun to feel my pain.
At least he's not in our division.
Mother, Canada, mother.
All right, before Erik does full-blown Looney Tunes here, Mr. Watkins, I actually think I got it wrong.
All right, I'm listening. Enlighten me.
You already know who my pick for this award is. I shared the stat in the group chat originally. Offensively responsible for 50 touchdowns, 38 on the ground, or 38 through the air, 14 on the ground. Over 4,000 yards passing to break the Bills franchise record.
And that is saying something.
Broke Jim Kelly's single-season touchdown record as well.
And care to remind the audience where Jim Kelly also played?
He was a Bill as well, too.
But before he was a Bill, and before he was a Houston Gambler...
Yes, I know he repped you.
Thank you very much. To the man who started the chain. Not the turnover chain, but the even more important one.
That being said, for as good as Derrick Henry was this year, I think Ryan Tannehill was just as valuable to that Tennessee Titan offense this season. There's no doubt in my mind that there is not a single quarterback in the league that could have done what Josh Allen did in Buffalo this year. He was your 2020 Offensive Player of the Year.
Object and say that, there was a quarterback that outperformed Josh Allen this year, and he took home MVP. So just want to say that.
We'll get to him in a few seconds. Keneddi, Derrick Henry or Josh Allen for 2020?
So I want to say Josh Allen just because my heart, obviously, like the things Josh Allen did for this team this year, it's untouchable, but Derrick Henry said he's the 8th person to ever go over 2,000 yards plus, 17 touchdowns, 378 attempts. Like, there's things. Derrick, he's a monster, but like Josh Allen, I don't know, I'm so stuck. I want to say Josh Allen because that's where my heart goes because of the Bills. He's Jim Kelly I won't say reincarnated because, he's not dead, but reincarnated, so to say. So, like, if me as a fan, I want to say Bills, but me looking into everything, I have to say Derrick Henry.
Okay, I can straighten that out that bit for you. He is what Drew Bledsoe was initially praised to be. He is the second coming of Jim Kelly. And I'm going to throw this out there, Derek. We understand everything that's going on. If you ever find yourself discontent in Tennessee, you can come home. We know you played high school in Yulee. We're going back to the teal uniforms now. No state tax. I'm just saying.
Jason, do you agree that it should have been Derrick Henry this year as the Offensive Player of the Year?
Yes. And you're welcome.
How very succinct of you.
And I'm just
all right.
Now, so you guys don't hear my teeth chattering.
All right, so that actually takes us to the last award that we predicted in the preseason, which was the MVP. Jason took Drew Brees, which was looking kind of sketchy for a few weeks, but he ended up turning it on as the season went along. Erik took Russell Wilson. That ended about week 6.
Oh, if only for an offensive line in Seattle. If only.
I took Lamar Jackson, who couldn't beat the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. The midseason awards, Mr. Teasley, were?
I'll take Russell Wilson.
Because at that point, Russell Wilson was just starting to decline. Obviously, that did not age well. the 2020 National Football League. I don't know why I went baseball there for a second. Let's try this again. The 2020 National Football League most valuable player in the NFL honors was
Aaron Rodgers, the other half of the State Farm duo. And look here, just because pitchers and catchers are about ready to report, you're still on a football podcast, sir.
Yeah, but it's baseball season, damn it. Jason, I'm actually about to surprise you with this. You ready? I 100% support this decision. I think they got it right with Aaron Rodgers. And the reason I say that I think they got it right with Aaron Rodgers is because it goes back to something you said earlier in the season. This was the 2020 Aaron Rodgers fuck you tour. This was him telling the Green Bay Packers that it was an insult to me that you drafted Jordan Love in the first round of the draft last season. And this was Aaron Rodgers proving that when he had a healthy receiving core and a mostly healthy Aaron Jones in the backfield, that the Packers are capable of incredible things in the regular season. The postseason, well, that's a different story. Jason?
Yeah, I fully understand and agree with the choice of Aaron Rodgers. I mean, the only ceiling he had was Aaron Jones that he took away. Multiple touchdowns is something fine for him. But yes, I mean, Aaron Rodgers definitely was awesome MVP at the end of the season. I do believe that you're right.
Mr. Watkins.
Well, like I said, and I was also one of the ones on the carousel about saying this was his gigantic fuck you revenge tour, and it paid off. I mean, even with everything that happened in the NFC Championship game and how it ended, you put Jordan Love or a litany of other quarterbacks in that offense, especially with how they were able to really gel towards the end, they don't get anywhere near winning the NFC North or getting that number one seed. So it was his in the bag. I completely get it.
I've sung the praises of Josh Allen throughout this entire podcast, Keneddi, but I don't think there's any question that the 2020 MVP for the National Football League, after leading his team to a 14-2 win for the NFL, with Aaron Rodgers.
Obviously, all season I was rooting for Josh Allen to get MVP, and I 100% understand why it wasn't. Aaron Rodgers was untouched this year. He had 500 less yards than Patrick Mahomes, but he also had 10 more touchdowns, 1 less interception, and his passer rating couldn't be touched. He was the 6th person to ever get MVP for 3 times. You know, there's things he hit this year, and I definitely agree. It was his fuck you for Josh and Love. There's no other. He's getting old. It's his time to shine, but they never built really a team around him. He should have had more Super Bowls than he has. And I think he's getting ready to be done. He just wanted to show people what he had this year, and he did.
I think we see Rodgers stick around a little bit longer, but I wouldn't be surprised if not too far into this decade we see the end of the Rodgers run in Green Bay. And Jordan Love, good luck.
If I were to really pick a point, I would say right around 2023, maybe 2022. We'll see.
I'm saying at least 2 more seasons, and then Rodgers rides off into the sunset. Because we're going to start seeing some of the quarterbacks that we know and love doing that this offseason. One almost certainly, another it's heavily rumored. We'll get to that when we get to the news desk. Da-da-da.
Dramatic reverb.
I was going to say, he could be like Brady and just never go away, apparently. So.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Well, again, the only way that he'd be cool with me is if he can get me some of that avocado tequila. I'm sorry. I gotta try it.
Apparently, he needs to stop trying it.
I think there's only one time I've ever liked Brady, and it was definitely Bucks post-Super Bowl Brady.
He's not as thick as you drunk he is, Erik.
again, the fact that avocado tequila can get you Tom Brady wasted, that needs to be in my liquor cabinet ASAP.
Jesus. All right, that officially brings us to the end of our 2020 year-end awards discussions. I will look up the offensive midseason awards and have those for you guys on our next episode. I can't promise when exactly that next episode will be, but it will be included on there probably a week or two, depending on if we have any major news and notes to get to next week. But we're thinking in the off-season we might go bi-weekly here on the kickoff. We're by a lot of things here on the kickoff, and weekly is one of them. Hi-yo! We'll come back for our normal draft preview, draft review. Obviously, if there is an NCAA tournament this year, Eric, I'd like to bring back the tip-off.
Well, for all of the rumblings going on, they're still on course for that, because even with the multiple delays and postponements and uneven scheduling, it's going to be in some form. However, you will start seeing the major notes about whether there is or isn't come conference tournament time in the next week to 10 days.
Jason, are you in for the tip-off if the tournament actually happens?
Yes, I'm in. I'm just my head's in the game. I'm just my head's in for the tip-off though.
That checks out. Giggity. Wait a minute. Family show. All right, moving on. I do believe that moves us over to the news desk, Mr. Watkins, because the playoff predictions that we made are going to have to be delayed in order to update them properly.
And the fact that we're already going to be seeing a theme when it comes to next year's playoff predictions, because the quarterback carousel has been in full swing just in many different ways. At first, it was the big blockbuster trade between the Rams and Lions, Matthew Stafford for Jared Goff, and a couple of, some would say, questionable picks, given what scant offerings the Rams have thanks to previous trades. And then today it broke down that Carson Wentz, who I was hoping would go ahead and replace Mazda Miata Mitch Trubisky in Chicago. No, the football gods decided to near smite me one more time and reunite him with Frank Reich in Indianapolis. I am not openly wishing for Carson Wentz to have anything bad happen to him, but I will casually remind everyone that he has an injury history.
Which is Eric's polite way of saying, I hope it happens again, you son of a bitch.
Again, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. It would be a shame if that injury history were to pop up and cost the conditional pick to only remain in the second round instead of the first round. That would be flat out terrible.
His fingers crossed from here. All right, let's start with the new girl here, Keneddi. I'm gonna ask you a quick question. You ready?
Yeah, shoot.
And you should be on unmute, Harry.
No, I was not muted. I was having a connectivity issue. Thank you very much, Mr. Watkins. Let's try that again. Who has a bigger season with their new team? Stafford with the Rams or Wentz with the Colts?
Stafford with the Rams.
Do you care to expound upon that prediction?
Wentz is irrelevant now. It's a waste of cap space. There's just, who cares about him anymore? And that's Stafford. He has the potential still. Wentz, I feel, is just beat up. I'm going to say quote unquote old. Stafford has enough weapons around him when you go to the Rams that I think he can do something with it.
Okay, but to be fair, this is the same Matthew Stafford who we have affectionately dubbed made of glass here on this podcast.
But again, Detroit has stuff that's made of glass. What do you think they have for some of their car parts?
Nothing? No one? Okay.
Stafford is actually 3 years older than Wentz, that has a bad back. So I'm going to definitely take Wentz over Stafford, especially the fact that Wentz is going into a team that has a great young running back, Jonathan Taylor, that had a nice rookie season. And they're just going to add more weapons to that offense for him. I think Stafford's going to be limited due to the fact that he's going to be playing in that NFC West that does have defenses that put pressure on him, and he's not a mobile quarterback.
Erik, I know, speaking from your heart as a Jacksonville Jaguar fan, you obviously have a preference here. However, from your head, as an intelligent football fan, I want an honest answer. Who has a better season? Stafford with the Rams, Wentz with the Colts.
I'm speaking intelligently when I say this, and my fandom does come into play because, well, spite. Wentz is primed to have the bigger season. Now, I know Stafford, he is being inserted into a win-now ready environment with your receivers like Kupp, Woods, Jefferson. They're starting to reestablish a running game, and he's also going to have protection. All well and good. But for all of the offensive genius that Sean McVay is, lest we forget who really brought out the MVP caliber form for Wentz during his career in Philadelphia. That was Frank Reich. And with Reich being the head coach and mastering everything, combined with still a lot of veteran receivers and maybe a couple of picks in the draft if they go the right way, bringing him in saying, I know my guy, this is what he's best at, what we're going to get him to make sure he's even better. Yes, it's going to be in a much easier, much more comfortable situation, and that is going to lead to success and a lot of inebriation for the 2021 season for me personally.
Well, you can look forward to Trevor Lawrence versus Carson Wentz this upcoming week.
Yeah, not giving me a lot of confidence, especially after a couple of decades of dealing with both Peyton Manning and then Andrew Luck. Yeah, you're not helping.
And now Ryan Tannehill. And, well, look at the bright side. You'll probably get rid of Deshaun Watson here shortly. Segue.
The next part of that carousel, and then the big will he, won't he, should I stay or should I go, leaning towards go, Deshaun Watson.
Should I stay or should I go now?
Well, I mean, honestly, he realizes if he goes, there could be trouble, but if he stays, he's already indicated it would be double. Not liking the ownership for what they've done with off-the-field issues, where he has a big hand in with advocacy, not really feeling respected enough, and rightfully so as far as personnel decisions. He is like, well, I'm gone. And you've had your few contenders with him, but so far nothing overwhelmingly solidified. And now after these trades, he's the next big domino. Personally, I feel, as a guy who likes and respects Deshaun Watson, he should leave and have success elsewhere and not give me nightmares. But there's a lot of fuckery afoot with this franchise.
I am hearing rumors, and it's going to kind of tie into another one of your stories that you're about to read, that there is a specific franchise owned by a specific family that is especially interested in Mr. Watson. Do you know which direction I'm going with that, Mr. Watkins?
Oh, do they have a song about them called Black and Yellow?
They do indeed.
I thought so.
And I would honestly say that given the young core of talent that's in that particular Black and Yellow franchise, i.e. guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, guys like the running back James Conner, guys like the defensive group that they have together there, that is a win-now franchise situation, which is exactly what Watson has said that he wanted after the last couple of seasons in Houston, barring last year's postseason appearance, where the Texans have struggled to maintain relevancy, and something that Watson's not used to, especially having come from Clemson.
Another source of nightmares in my fandom. I'm really sensing a theme here.
You're the one that put this news desk together, sucker. Don't blame me.
I'm not saying that I put it together that way on purpose. I'm just saying, do you have to remind me of certain things that I've had to deal with?
Let's go ahead and read in the other part of that story that I just discussed, so that way we can kind of discuss it all in one gigantic ball, Mr. Watkins.
Now, there was a mild bit of confusion when I put the title, but as you know, with myself and Harry in particular, we have our penchant for certain television shows. So I appropriately titled this one, Ultimate Tag, Pittsburgh Edition. We know that the three Watt brothers are great when it comes to television on Fox, and I hope to God that show is renewed for season 2. But we're not talking about that right now. What we are talking about... what was that?
Eric.
Yes?
Wrong story.
Well, we were tying all of that in together with that and stuff as well. I mean, fine, if we're going to go to see if Big Ben tolls no more, if we have to...
That was the story in question because of the Watson to Pittsburgh rumors.
Yeah, but I mean, alright. The situation is a little bit stickier than it really appears. And this is coming from someone who knows very sticky situations. With Ben, the magic number is $41 million. That is what his cap hit is going to be this year. And as it's come out, you're looking at a salary cap floor of $180 million. Compared to last year's $198 million, while more than initially expected for this year, I personally don't anticipate it climbing too much higher. If it goes anything above 185, that would be a minor miracle in of itself. He's approached the team and said, I don't care how much I make next season, I want to come back. But this is also on the heels of him saying that he only wanted to stick around as long as his center Marquise Pouncey was there. More on that later. So, the team, being the business acumen style that they have been and that we've seen, they've basically said, we'll work on that. We'll see. And they've come out publicly and said that Big Ben is a Steeler for now. Dun dun dun! Okay, just gonna leave me hanging? Connectivity issues?
Damn it, Skype. Hitting the unmute button issues. Dramatic reverb. I know, it's a pain in the ass, but it's a necessary evil given the connection issues we've had tonight. Jason, let's get you involved on this discussion here since you're like starting to crash out on this. Let's see if we can't get you woken up a little bit. Do you think Deshaun Watson would be a good fit in Pittsburgh should they decide to turn the page on the Ben Roethlisberger era?
No, he's not going to Pittsburgh. He's going to end up, Deshaun Watson's going to end up in one of three places. He's either going to end up as a Jet, and that will make some people happy. He's going to end up, and the rumor of the massive, ridiculous deal that was flooded out there involving Carolina, or I want to say that he may end up in a dark horse team, he may end up in Washington.
I could see Washington happening. You know, the other name that I've seen floated out there is San Francisco as well.
I mean, the only other contender between all of those that might be slipping away is Miami. But then again, the Dolphins could be still secretly working under the radar to make anything happen.
Let me ask the newest member of the panel here, Keneddi, where do you think Deshaun Watson plays in 2021?
Jets, for sure. There's no point to giving the Dolphins. Tua did what he needed to do this year. He has room to grow. There's no reason the Dolphins need to pick him up. There's no reason for him to go to Pittsburgh either. I think the Jets is the best spot for him to land right now. I wouldn't say maybe like personally for him, but for the Jets themselves, Watson should go there for the team, not his own self-interest.
See, I don't think that Deshaun Watson's going to have an interest in going to the Jets because of the fact that franchise is clearly in a rebuild, even with the high draft pick that they have picking number 2 overall this year, Eric. The reason I say Pittsburgh personally, and it would not surprise me if they decide to move on from Roethlisberger to see Watson go there, is because all of the pieces in Pittsburgh are there for a deep run in the postseason, especially if you can upgrade, and it would be an upgrade, from Roethlisberger to Watson at quarterback.
Oh, it would be a serious upgrade. You still have the arm strength. He can still make all of the throws that Roethlisberger can and better. But you also have that little bit of extra mobility that Roethlisberger does not have anymore. And there have been more stories coming out that, let's face it, when it comes to the offseason, Ben is very, very nonplussed. Very just whatever. I'll do everything when it counts. Whereas with Watson, he being young, motivated, and more into still taking care of himself, you can have someone like him to really help not only buy into the Pittsburgh culture, but really help continue to build it where at times it's sort of leveled off in some ways. So Pittsburgh, I would say the favorite, and Washington, it really depends on Dan Snyder. That's way too much of a wild card. And also, even with their quote-unquote success, not so much of a win-now team.
Yeah, I would argue that Carolina could be a viable contender if they can get their pieces back healthy. Because once again, you had McCaffrey missing significant time here. And like we talked about in our preseason predictions for Carolina, there's no number 1 wide receiver in Carolina right now that really stands out. So I don't think that Watson would have an interest in going there. Let's turn the tables on this discussion, Mr. Teasley. Where do you think Big Ben ends up with all of this? Do you think he remains a Steeler for the 2021 season? And if he doesn't, who is the starting quarterback in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I think he remains in Pittsburgh. I think it's his last year in Pittsburgh. But I think he remains in Pittsburgh one more season.
Keneddi, we saw the retirement of Marquise Pouncey, the longtime Pittsburgh Steelers center that Ben has specifically stated that he enjoys playing with. Do you think that this is a sign that Ben's on his way out the door, or do we see another year in the Roethlisberger era with the black and gold?
I think Ben's out the door either way. I mean, you have Haskins, you have rumors of Watson maybe going there. I don't understand why the both look, but Haskins is already signed. He's 39 years old, Ben. You know, his talents are depreciating. I don't think there's any reason to keep him playing, let him ride the bench. You know, wait out his time, throw him in if he needs to be in there. But I think it's time for another quarterback to get in there, take over Pittsburgh, and see what they can do.
I do believe the one thing that we can all agree on, Mr. Watkins, is that Mason Rudolph is definitely not the answer for the Steeler franchise.
If you mean the answer as who is the favorite person who Myles Garrett would love to hit in the head with the helmet repeatedly, yes. But other than that, no.
That still reminds me of my favorite stat from last season with the contract extension that Garrett signed. One of my favorite stats I've ever read. Did you ever see that meme, Keneddi?
Which one? The one with Myles Garrett and Rudolph?
And then right after Myles Garrett signed a contract extension, The news came out that Garrett could hit Rudolph in the head with his helmet 4,308 more times and still have money left over. That was my exact reaction. All right, Mr. Watkins, now we can go back to Ultimate Tag.
Well, and I'm glad, because this is also relates to what Pittsburgh is going to do next. Instead of offensively, defensively. We know that the brothers are great as far as hosting TV shows on Fox, and I am making another plea. Please, let that show be renewed for season 2. I am just saying. But aside from that, you already have Derek starting to make his presence known as a fullback in the backfield. You have TJ already lining up, doing his thing on the defense. JJ has mutually agreed with Houston to part ways, also not wanting to be part of a rebuild. So, would it make a lot of sense for him to go to Pittsburgh? It would to me. However, and yes, I'm acknowledging the news, and yes, I'm going to defer to the Bills homers, and yes, I'm going to be nice to one of you because reasons, but damn it, Harry, don't rain on my parade.
All right, so here's the thing. My biggest concern about J.J. Watt coming to Buffalo is cap space. Because realistically speaking, this isn't about the 2021 offseason for Buffalo. This is about the 2022 offseason for Buffalo. And specifically, a player whose rookie contract expires next season that is going to get paid in Buffalo, and I don't think there's any question that player is one Josh Allen. So, the ability to bring J.J. Watt to Buffalo is going to rely on J.J. Watt's desire to negotiate a contract that is both Watt and team friendly in that it doesn't cause a significant hit against the salary cap, while at the same time Watt making what he feels he's worth in a system that was this close to going to the Super Bowl this year. Keneddi, obviously Josh Allen is priority number one when it comes to re-signing for Buffalo. Where do you see the J.J. Watt signing for Buffalo as a priority?
I'd honestly say right now, I don't think it would be that high. Josh Allen is our franchise. He's our future. We need to make sure, obviously, he stays. If Buffalo wants him to stay. J.J. Watt would not be bad if, again, we have the cap space. If he doesn't want some ridiculous contract, he's getting older, he's injury-ridden. Like, if we got Watt, I would not complain. But I don't think we should sit there and fight tooth and nail for him. Like, the Titans are interested, obviously, the Steelers are, but I think if he went to the Steelers, that's going to be the quote-unquote end of his career. Just playing with your brothers isn't a reason to go to the team, you know. I think the Bills would be good for him, and he'd be good for us, but I don't think we should pay out the ass for him.
I gotta remember to start unmuting my microphone before I talk. Let's try that again. Jason, where do you think J.J. Watt ends up this offseason?
So I'm taking the dark horse team, and I'm putting in Arizona. I think it would be a good, feel-good story to be in Pittsburgh, but after the Instagram post by Nook saying that we need to finish what we started, and it's a picture of him and Watt together, I think that he may end up in Arizona, which I would love for it to happen because I think that would be a good fit for him defensively, and reunites him with DeAndre Hopkins, who had a good relationship with him. He can be a team leader for a lot of the younger Cardinals on that defense, and help them turn the corner and actually be a force in the NFC West.
Erik, I believe we have one more story to cover, and it is an unfortunate story that you put in the news desk for this week.
Well, we have two to kind of wrap up a bow on, so we won't entirely go out on a terrible note. But unfortunately, the reports came out about a tragic end to what was a very good career and what seemed to be, like, at the very least, something promising post-football for longtime Chargers and Bucks wide receiver Vincent Jackson. In Hillsborough County, which is in the Tampa Bay area, there were those close to him that were concerned about his well-being who had not heard from him. So officers went to perform a wellness check, and when they did perform that wellness check, they found Vincent, unfortunately, deceased in his hotel room. This has spawned a lot of stories about, how athletes are once they leave football. And we mentioned earlier Ryan Leaf. He has been an advocate coming out and saying, hey, with the NFL taking care so that way situations like this could be prevented. And unfortunately, when you have certain things happen, in either be it related to CTE, which is obviously not known in this case, or in general, you really hate to see it, especially someone that's so young, as Jackson was only 38.
540 career catches for 9,080 yards for an average of 16.8 a catch, with a career long of 95 yards, which is a Tampa Bay franchise record, in addition to 57 career touchdown receptions. 57 touchdowns, my mistake. 15 rushing attempts for 161 yards, with a career long of 41 on the ground, an average of 10.7 a carry. Overall in his career, fumbled 3 times, lost 2 of them. No career passing statistics for Vincent Jackson. He also holds the career Tampa Bay Buccaneer record for most receiving yards in the game at 216. I will send you the link to his Wikipedia page where I just pulled those statistics from for the report, Eric.
Gotcha.
We talked about this before. Obviously, we'll talk about it again. It was good to see Antonio Brown kind of make a recovery and start to show signs of being a contributing adult in the National Football League once again. But obviously, these athletes go through a lot, Jason, and this is a situation where Vincent Jackson didn't know what to do with himself after his NFL career. He officially retired on May 17th, 2018, and honestly, was not really heard from again in NFL circles until the reports of his passing just 3 days ago.
Yeah, and reports just came out that the family has decided to donate his brain. This cold's getting to me. His brain to research studies to help further the concussion studies that the NFL is doing.
Yes, I'm actually seeing that on the Wikipedia page as well. Jackson's family also believes that he has suffered from the brain disease, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE, which can only be determined after death via a biopsy of the brain. Wrestling fans will know this as the condition that Christopher Nowinski, the former wrestler, was studying within his medical facility as well. Keneddi, 38.
That's what going to tell me it's been one.
No, stop. Not going down that road. Keneddi, I know you recently, I'm not going to get too personal here. I know you recently just had a friend pass away at 37 here. Obviously, a major athlete in 38. It's really young to go. Any words of encouragement for the family or anything to say that for people out there?
It's just, I've never had anyone like pass that was close before until now, and so I wasn't a big believer in, that's what they wanted until my friend passed recently. So I think family and friends to him, if you ever get down and you have a time where you feel like you can't get off the couch or something, just think to yourself, that's what he wanted, because that's what's getting me through it too. If he'll bum him, sit on the couch, and I'll be like, he called me a big old bitch for not getting up to do what I want to do, So I think it's just remember him and remember the times he had and keep pushing. Remember the great things he did. I mean, a man like that, you're going to remember he's a three-time Pro Bowler, you know. He did great things. So I think you just need to be as positive as you can and remember him in good light.
Erik, I believe I'm going to have to find it off of the Facebook post there. Did you see the tribute that Sean Merriman posted to him?
No, I did not. I'm going to have to look for that one myself.
All right, I'll see if I can't find that, and I'll send it to you to include with the show preview as well.
Sure.
All right, let's go out on a high note, Mr. Watkins.
And we touched on a few of these earlier in the show, but now we are seeing word of more and more retirements. Those who decide to officially hang up the boots at the end of the season. We've already seen with Indianapolis, Phillip Rivers. He was one and done, somewhat thankfully. And the large speculation with Drew Brees restructuring his contract to free up cap space, leaning towards his retirement and riding off into the sunset to begin his broadcasting career for NBC, where he'll be calling Notre Dame games. So far, between that and not just one, but both of the Pouncey twins retiring, I'm actually curious is if now the time is going forward and things are a little bit unsettled or going to be settled, if we're going to see any more or if this is going to be the total list. Waiting for it.
I definitely think we'll see more names stepping away once we get further and further into the offseason. It's a recurring trend during these last couple of seasons, too. The thing about it is, Erik, is that a lot of the players that you, I, and Jason grew up watching are reaching the end of their careers. The guys that were starting their runs into the NFL right as we were hitting our teenage years, and even those that were drafted as we were into our early 20s and stuff are now starting to reach the end. Realistically speaking, the average NFL career is about 8 seasons. So for somebody like Brees, who played as long as he has, for somebody like Phillip Rivers, who had, 1 seasons in the NFL?
I think it was 16.
And then the Pouncey boys, who each had 12, they're on the higher end of the NFL spectrum.
I mean, everybody can be Tom Brady and play 400 years in the NFL and still look the same age. Except his forehead's getting bigger. He's got that Manning disease where his forehead's getting a little bit bigger.
Keneddi, your thoughts on the officially announced retirement of Phillip Rivers and the impending retirement of Drew Brees?
Phillip Rivers was one of the best quarterbacks to never win a Super Bowl. I think it's real unfortunate he never got one. I just feel like teams were built up enough around him for him to get it done. I mean, he's the 12th highest in the league in passer rating, besides Tom Brady and Brees, 4,000 yards in a season. It's real upsetting watching someone like that go without getting what he needed to get done. And Drew Brees, I feel like he just went on a bad note. I feel like this season could have been so much more for him than it was as his final season. I wish he would keep playing. I think he's got it in him, but if that's what he wants to do, that's what he's going to do. But I just wish he'd play one more season and try to go out on a better note than he did.
I'm going to be honest, that's part of the reason why I picked New Orleans to win the Super Bowl this year, and I stuck with that prediction at the midseason award show. It's just because I wanted to see Brees get what I thought he rightfully deserved in that proper send-off here. Erik, we've talked about this before on this show. That man has set numbers that, in my opinion, will never be touched at the quarterback position in professional sports. The first quarterback ever with over 8,000 career passing yards. The all-time NFL leader in touchdown passes. I believe he's also the all-time NFL leader in different receivers that he's thrown a touchdown pass to, if I'm not mistaken.
I know he's right up there at minimum top 3 in that category, but and we mentioned this stat, I kept track of it throughout the season. That 80,000 threshold, while he only has the one Super Bowl trophy, he's going to have a trophy from the Guinness Book of World Records for crossing that number. He's the only guy in any code of gridiron football to ever do that. Will I think his numbers be touched? Give me about 20 years. I think somebody's going to come along, have that career, just like we've seen records fall. They're made to be broken. Even he knows that. And who knows? He might be on that Sunday night football game or either in the booth or in studio where his record's broken and he'll be able to probably come down on the field and have a whole big passing of the torch himself. We'll find that out sometime in the maybe 2040s, early 2050s, if I had to guess. But I also see why he would be leaning towards retirement, just because, as Keneddi said, kind of the note that he went out on. The man whose record he broke, Anthony Calvillo, longtime Canadian Football League legend, who went on to win, towards the latter part of his career, back-to-back Grey Cup championships himself, to have a nice little bow on for his career. The reason why he didn't get to 80,000 is because his season and eventually career was cut by injury. Late in the season, he had a concussion, and then after that, he wasn't able to come back, and he just decided he was done. With Drew Brees, as much as he would like another ring, understandable, adding on to those records, continuing to be another moving target for another season, understandable. You look at what he's had to deal with. Yes, you would say, oh, if it was only the thumb where he was out for 6 weeks last year, fine. But when you take a hit and you break 11 ribs and you have a punctured lung, knowing how much of a family man you are, seeing him and his kids, and even having Tom Brady throw them touchdown passes after that playoff game, it dwells on you a little bit more. While I would love to see him stay, it's kind of just that time. Because the more you keep taking hits like this, the harder it is to get back from.
I wanted to say one other quick thing about Drew Brees, and then we'll get to the wrap-up for the show. For as good of a football player as Drew Brees was, he was a better human being. Drew Brees personified what a professional athlete should be. Drew Brees went out of his way to be inclusive to all of his teammates, going back to his college days, and then throughout his NFL career. Drew Brees has become a family man and a well-respected member of the New Orleans community. If I can leave a legacy a fourth of as great as Drew Brees has, I'd say I've done a pretty good job with my life. If this is the end, thank you. Sorry, I'm trying not to choke while I'm talking.
You can cry it out if you need to, Nick.
I'm good. I went to clear my throat and accidentally swallowed spit.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah.
Making my freaking eyes water. All right, I think I'm good now.
Because I'm about to say, I never pictured you to be swallowing in that situation, so.
Shut up, Watkins.
Yeah, I already said that I always knew he swallowed,
Well, I always knew you were a catcher, Jason. What's your point?
I never play catch. I was never a catcher. My knees are too bad.
That's what they all say. All right, so Let's allow the last few moments of the show before we do our social media wrap-ups and everything. Let's allow the last few minutes of the show to the new girl to introduce herself.
Like, actively, you want me to introduce myself?
Like, let everybody know, like, your sports background, like, how you came to be a Bills fan, obviously, because they'll pick up throughout the course of listening to the show that you're a member of the Mafia. But, like, your collegiate interests, your other sports interests, the fact is that one of the reasons that your ability to join the show stood out to us is because our most recent co-host, who had to leave the show because of his collegiate commitments, had something in common with you. You guys have almost a left coast bias, with you guys being out in his case, he was in the Pacific Northwest, up in Idaho, over towards the Washington line. You're in California. So the two questions that I have is, one, how does a Bills Mafia member end up in California?
I'm active duty, so I've been stationed out here for almost 7 years now.
Originally from?
Niagara Falls, but it's like 20 minutes away from Buffalo, so easier for me to just say Buffalo.
No arguments there. Earliest football memories?
Oh, man. So I wouldn't say games per se, but my dad's been a football ref my whole life, and I just remember being in the living room listening to cuss the TV out during, early 2000s Bills games.
Yeah, in case you haven't noticed, he's also significantly younger than the rest of us here on the kickoff as well.
Yeah, I'm only 25.
Which has her a decade and a year younger than me. I just turned 36 5 days ago.
Yep, my family likes to say I was the curse of the Bills. I just had my son this past year, and they did good, so my son brought the curse away from the Bills.
Woo, go son! Do you have a collegiate team?
Yeah, World Tide. It's I know it sounds weird because I'm from Buffalo, but I very much wanted to go to school there, and I've been following them since I was in 8th grade.
You have Jason and Melissa.
You don't let me what?
See, again, you had these great jokes, but the Spectrum, are they censors too? Huh.
Jason, I'm going to let you have at that one.
Anybody that follows a team that has their schedule is comprised of a deaf and blind school, 3 high school football teams, and a prison up on I-10. I guess you could be claimed that you're an actual football powerhouse.
Yeah, they definitely have an anti-SEC bias. I am an SEC guy myself, but I'm a Florida Gator fan, so we will be beefing during college football.
Absolutely.
Look, I'm not saying that I have a total anti-SEC bias. I completely understand. It's just at the same time, we're probably going to have our own beef to open the season this year as well. And yeah, I'm just prepared. That's all I'm saying.
Real quick, Mr. Watkins, the last time you guys opened the season against the team that a guy that has a team on this podcast, how'd that go for you?
Does not compute, error, does not exist. I don't know what you're talking about. No memory of that one whatsoever.
You know where you won't have errors? By going to getgrammarly.com/W2M network. In addition to, I lost my train of thought there. I had the notes pulled up, but I lost my train of thought. I segued it so perfectly. Son of a bitch. We'll get to that plug next show.
You just couldn't stick the landing. I'm gonna have to deduct points for that one, Broadhurst.
Yeah, I don't blame you. This one's definitely not the Russian judge's fault. All right, Keneddi, where can people find you online?
I guess the best one I can do is, TikTok now is where I'm at. I mean, I keep Facebook and Instagram, obviously, for family, but you want good sports takes and stuff. But I'm on TikTok at the useless shellback.
Jason, where can people find you online?
Well, I need to address this, how Keneddi came to being added to the kickoff was actually through her TikTok, a topic that I feel we can discuss. So if anybody follows her via her TikTok, come across the video that started Bonnie Kennedy's friendship, and, kind of intrigued me to bring her on due to her insights. But you can find me at W2M Chairman on Twitter. I have a TikTok, but I don't post anything on it. I just kind of find friends and make them co-hosts on podcasts with me.
Erik, where can people find you online?
Well, I also have a TikTok account. My love-hate relationship with that app prevents me from going any further in that discussion. However, you can instead find me on Twitter at Squid Sportshead. I will be doing more live tweeting. Again, AFL season is coming up, even though the Amy Community Series has been reduced. Granted, pandemic still, what have you, but I'll be finding something, either live tweet, rant about, what have you. But if you're looking for something else, any kind of professional advice for certain areas, or see me kind of start Facebook fires and flame wars, you can find me there under Erik Watkins. You should know how to find me. Look for the picture, guy, wine, recliner, etc. Now, granted, if you're looking for something even more extra special, you can go to my Twitter, slide in my DMs, undergo the proper and thorough vetting process, and you'll gain access to my dark Twitter, my Snapchat, my Kick, my Vero, my MeWe, my Telegram, and anything else you might want to find me on if you're really looking for the seedy side of life. And as always, this plug brought to you by the fine folks at Rick's T&T LLC. Tutoring and tax consultation services available, website and commercial coming soon. Notary public services also available in the state of Florida. And yes, I do officiate weddings.
That might be the single longest plug in the history of the show, Erik.
I'm doing a whole bunch of shit. You think I've just been sitting here twiddling my thumbs in the pandemic? Granted, I'd rather be twiddling something else, but we're not talking about that right now.
I was going to say you were a man on a mission, but apparently that's the wrong thing to say right now.
But there's several missions, none of which we can discuss on air.
I mean, technically you could discuss them on air, but you just don't want to, Mr. Oh, we'll get in trouble.
HEB the Eagle on Twitter, Facebook, Grapple, pretty much everywhere that's social media related is where you can find me. Still not doing Snapchat, Erik. Not doing TikTok. Not my thing. I just watch the videos when people send them to me.
TikTok, fine, but especially with what you got going on right now, you are really missing out on Snapchat. You know how I am when it comes to filling voids.
I did know how you are when it comes to filling a lot of things, but again, family show. Anyway, like I said, HEB the Eagle pretty much anywhere. Although do remember that if you need to send any hate mail, it's s.garmer@gmail.com. Jason, who's your dick of the week?
Yeah,
You cut out, Jason. Try that again.
I said you and Erik for how long this goddamn podcast will.
You're drunk again. Shut up.
Look, again, just because you may or may not be drunk, although probably not, and you're outside in 10-degree weather, it's still just 93 minutes. This is normal.
Keneddi, who's your dick of the week?
Myself. Because I only know how to talk in circles, apparently.
First podcast jitters, it's fine. You'll get used to it. Erik, DOTW, who you got?
All as always, Mark Lamping, as long as he's still employed in the Jaguars front office, and a couple extra shout-outs to a couple people in Texas, especially the mayor of Colorado City, Texas, and the people at ERCOT. everybody and all my peeps in the Lone Star State, y'all stay safe out there. Y'all ain't used to this, and I completely understand. And Keneddi, trust me, give it a month, and I'll probably make your Dick of the Week at least once.
I don't know if I would appreciate that one.
Family show!
See? You see? This is why. I'm telling you, you're officially a made woman, Keneddi.
Okay, that's for my audio difficulties tonight. Whatever internet Jason has for the fact that he had to go sit in 12-degree weather in order to do tonight's podcast. And honestly, Mother Nature for being on her goddamn cycle and putting a foot of snow on the ground in pretty much most of the country. We get that we needed to cool down, but not like this, Mother Nature. Not cool.
Cool down yourself. I mean, hell, it was 80 degrees here today. What are you talking about?
I'm going to the beach where I'm at, so I mean...
Okay, I'm going to reiterate what I said to him, to both of you here. Shut the fuck up. For the debuting... Okay, you're going to have to tell me how to pronounce the last name there, because I don't want to fuck it up.
Nah, we're gonna go maiden name here. It's gonna be Keneddi Eddings.
Eddings? No, that was the one that you needed to tell. I knew how to pronounce the married name, but you wanted to go with maiden.
Yeah, we're gonna go Keneddi Eddings.
For the debuting Keneddi Eddings, Jason Teasley, and Erik Watkins, I am Harry Broadhurst. You have been listening to The Kickoff, a presentation of the W2M Network online at W2Mnet.com. In addition, you can also check us out on getamazonmusic.com/W2M Network and by searching for the W2M Network on your Alexa-enabled devices. In addition to that, you can also find us on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spreaker, Podbean, CastBox. Hey, Eric, guess what?
Spotify is here.
And we're out of time. Jason, go warm up somehow. We'll talk to you guys next time here on The Kickoff, a presentation of the W2M Network.